Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, so I decided to give a review of the minheejin interview, both part 1 and part 2. I will mainly focus on the new girl group. First, I want to start by reiterating the main question of the article: how much do you know about minheejin? She is one of the most revered and respected concept directors in K-pop, leading as the highest paid woman in Korea, in her field. She famously worked under SM for the first part of her career, working on idols concepts that have made a large impact on the industry. Artists such as Girls' Generation, SHINee, FX, EXO, Red Velvet and NCT. However, due to being overworked and burned out, she moved to work with HYBENGG as CBO in 2019, most recently becoming CEO of her own label under HYBENGG, ADOR. People are now awaiting the launch of her new girl group this year, that will debut under her new label. Through this interview, minheejin spoke out about a few incidents that happened during these past months of people mistakenly assuming things about her and the girl group. Thankfully, she was able to clear these. I definitely recommend reading the interview in your own time, as she delves into her experience in detail as well as explaining her ideologies about the K-pop industry. I'll link the interview below. Her ideologies about the K-pop industry, as she explains, are all about approaching K-pop differently. Instead of isolating different visual elements and designs, she suggests that there's a need for a fundamental understanding of the industry. There's a need for the constant innovation and combination of different business models to motivate a new era of visual culture. She goes on to say that this is one of the reasons as to why she wanted to launch her own label, her experience with creative directing clearly providing her the background necessary needed. She named music, casting, training, design and business as the aligned foundation to have a clear blueprint to build the girl group on. I think we should also pay attention to what she further goes on to say about seon. Seon is the Korean word for an intimate private story touched only by one's nostalgia and sentiment. This is a feeling that many say can be found in her work and the idols she works with. I think it is safe to say we might find a similar sentiment in the new girl group as well. Her comprehensive strategy of the consumers is incredibly detailed in the interview as well. It is incredibly interesting how much she understands about the industry. She even mentioned back then about a key aspect while creative directing an SM girl group: our main target isn't men in their 10s, 20s and 30s. The men will follow either way. It is to attract women in their 10s and 20s. They mainly have a stylish and sophisticated image. This view clearly aligning with her loyal perspective of thesis, antithesis, synthesis. If you are worried about the new girl group facing the oversaturated industry, there's no need to worry. Minheejin gave an adequate answer for the stereotypical K-pop image that many companies try to overcome. She very rightly talks about how the public normally searches for a type of novelty to talk about, a way of straying from the norm and idolizing those who do so. However, she highlights how those who wish for unfamiliar music immediately criticize and complain about it when faced with these new sounds or visuals. Therefore, this idea of the oversaturated and stereotypical industry is starting to become a stereotype in and on itself. Directly quoting her, "New for the sake of new." She goes on to mention how taste is subjective. What might be new for someone, might be lame for someone else. Satisfying everyone's need for novelty is therefore quite impossible. That is why she shares with us the amount of pressure she is in. But she assures us that her acknowledging of the uncertainty of success is one of her strong points for driving forward. And to be honest, that's all I needed to hear from her. Now, on to more detail on the new girl group. In this part of the interview, she explains how they held the auditions in 2019. As we all know, they're the auditions named Plus Global Auditions. She even confirms that by the end of the year, they had finished all the casting necessary, finding the girls that will be training for the new girl group. They had been training for the last 2 years, and minheejin revealed they were supposed to debut in 2021 as a collaborative project, which, if I was to guess, it was the original BIGHIT and Source Music girl group. But because of the postponing of the pandemic and the early release of her label, they transferred him to ADOR, as she was already the creative director of that group. Therefore the girls will debut in 2022 third quarter under ADOR management instead. Honestly, now that I think about it, she said in the yooquiz interview that she had been working on the album for the girls for the past 2 years, and that was when Bang Si-hyuk announced that he and the Big Hit team would be producing for the girls. So I think we can safely assume the girls will be produced by them. In this interview it is mentioned how the girls are worried about not being good enough and working incredibly hard. So we can be glad that they're surrounded by such a great team. I am incredibly grateful how Minheejin talks about reminding the girls that they're there to be entertainers first and foremost, instead of breaking records and hitting certain numbers. Setting the group's focus on enjoyment instead of proficiency, and as she says adequately, the energy radiating from those who are sincerely enjoying themselves is extremely powerful. I am extremely glad that Minheejin can be a role model for the girls and set them in such a mindful mindset. We can see that reflected by the high praises that Minheejin gives them in part 2 of the interview. The girls are extremely polite and well-mannered, Minheejin calls them sweet and wonderful, she feels like a proud parent. Honestly, her mentioning that she praised them in their shared group chat definitely melted my heart. I truly encourage you to read further on how she talks about the girls. It is amazing how Minheejin doesn't hold them to a too high pedestal but levels them instead. Her explanation of the training system she implemented since the auditions is extremely nurturing and mindful. I truly love how she approached the girls with a learning process, especially when showing the album to them. I can't be the only one who got excited when I read she showed them the album and included them closely with the writing process as well. Her opening of doors of opportunities for the girls is vast. You can clearly tell by all the various things she mentions she did for the girls, and one of my favorite quotes from her in this 2-part interview: "I think you have to take time to continuously observe someone rather than make a rash decision about whether or not they have talent. You never know unless you actually try, and in many cases, their talent will be discovered over the course of persistent practice, even if they initially seem like they don't have any." I would hate to overlook someone like that. The close relationship between the girls and her makes a difference. Even when she recalls her experiences with the youngest of the group and having all the girls over at her house to discuss the concept and direction of the group, you can tell the fondness in her words and admiration for the members' passion and youth. I feel like I ranted on a bit, so I'll end this strongly. Not only did Minheejin put our minds at rest with all the revealed information about the girls, from being involved in the album writing process to speaking both English and Korean, but she also assured us that she will work hard with her team to break existing expectations to make new possibilities present themselves and surprise us with interesting ideas with the new girl group. I don't know about you guys, but this interview definitely gave me the strength to continue waiting for the girls, as well as build my excitement even more about this girl group and its management. Again, I feel like I've said this a couple of times, but please do read the whole 2 parts of the interview if you can. It is an eye-opening experience, not only about Minheejin as a person but also the K-pop industry as a whole from her perspective. This is all. I apologize if I've missed anything, but if you want to add to this review, please comment below and let's discuss Minheejin's interview. There's so much to pull apart, and to be honest, you would need a 2-hour podcast to truly talk about everything in depth. Thank you so much for listening, especially if you made it to the end. The next upload will be an updated video on all the ADOR girl group rumored members. Please look forward to it. Till then, goodbye.